So I just had a little play in Gemini and decided to simulate a solar system, and here we have the sun and the planets, but this is actually a third thing. If you can see, I actually wanted it more to scale, so this was my third thing, and then you look at it like this, wow, you can barely see anything. So let's go back to the first version of it. Okay, so here we have the first version, and you see everything is a lot more squished in, and you can see all the nice planets, and they've got nice orbiting around the sun, and we can go like this. And this was just the first prompt. You can see my prompt here somewhere. Simulate the solar system in 3D. Give me controls to zoom in and out, rotate around the sun, and a slider to speed up, slow down time. Wow. It's all very nice. And if you click on a planet, you can get this nice little information sidebar. It just did that itself. And then you can be like, how many moons does it have? Then it just comes up with a nice prompt from an AI giving you the answer, 95 moons. Officially, I'm not sure exactly what the correct number is, but like it's still pretty good. I'm sure that is correct, and you can do that for any planet you like. Click on Saturn, or we could slow it down and click on Venus. Yeah, brilliant. And that's the first prompt. But you notice something here? We are missing Pluto. How dare they miss out Pluto? Is more than deserving of being one of the planets, I believe. Bring back Pluto. Also, I don't believe all the orbits are perfectly aligned like this. So I added another prompt here. And then this was the second version. So now we have also included Pluto over here. Very small, moving very slowly. See the outer planets moving much slower. But if we increase the speed, hopefully we start to see Pluto moving around its orbit. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Very cool. And we can rotate around in 3D. But at this point, I was like, I want it to scale. And we also see Pluto is at this angled orbit. I'm not sure if that's the correct orbit for it, but I mean, it looks more realistic. And it's also not perfectly spherical. The orbit is off center, which I'm guessing is maybe somewhat correct. I'm assuming it did the right calculations for that. But then if we go to the final version, so now we have the inner planets, and you can see it's actually added itself this nice shading on the planets as it looks at the sun. The planets have this cool shading effect, which wasn't in the other three, and the nice spinning around, and we can speed up, slow down. But now we zoom out, and wow, you're starting to see the more realistic scale of where the planets, not the size maybe, but of the actual things. I think the sun would be much bigger, but how far away the planets actually are. And we have Saturn with its rings nicely coming into view here. And then if we zoom in on Saturn, because everybody loves looking at Saturn, so move it across, zoom in, move. Ah, yeah, nice rings. Well, it's kind of cool that it actually coded in the rings for us. Not just an orb for Saturn. Very nice. Unfortunately, the other planets with rings do not have any rings. I think Neptune has some rings, but still very nice to see Saturn in all its glory with its rings. Everybody loves a bit of Saturn. And we keep zooming out, we keep zooming out, we keep zooming out. And now we try and find, oh, here it is, Pluto. This took me ages to find the first time I went through this. I was like, where is Pluto? I've already lost it. There it is. There we have Pluto. Nicely moving across, so far away from the sun, watching all these go speeding by. Just slow it down, yeah. Amazing. Whee! And there we have Uranus. Who named that? Uranus. The butt end of all jokes of the planets. And so, yeah, and then we still have them, all their orbits are slightly off tilt, which is kind of cool. Should we have a quick look at the code? If we have a look here, we are using this planet's TSX file, so it's a TypeScript with React. I've never done actually any coding in React myself, so I'm not so familiar with it, but I do know JavaScript. And basically here we have the TypeScript for all the planets and blah, 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 all the names. we have a little bit of information, and then the only really interesting one is Saturn also has a ring color, which is kind of nice. We have how far away they are, the size of them, a color to give them, speed, inclination, so how off orbit the axis is, and then that's just creating a HTML file for it to go in. Some metadata, but scene, filling with stars, creating the sun, because that doesn't have to move, so just can keep it, don't even have to update it, I guess. And then here's the interesting bit with all the planets. So calculating the angles, it's just moving around in a circle basically, so not too complicated to calculate, but there'd be some, interesting orbits in there. So this is to get the inclination, and here we have a tiny bit of code to get the rings just for Saturn. Very nice. So yeah, that's a quick little solar system simulation I made in 5 minutes just for the fun of it. I guess the next thing would be kind of cool to get the correct constellations, get the Milky Way in there. So yeah, but for what it is, it's still very cool.